Right now at 6, Portlanders with relatives taken hostage in Israel and family members killed in Gaza unite.
We are here to say enough of killing innocent people from both sides.
Their hopes to find peace in a region on the brink. Plus,
so we're having conversations about the basic needs of teachers and families in the event of a strike.
Portland public school teachers set to go on strike a week from today. How parents are preparing now for a school shutdown.
And winter arrives on Mount Hood and catches some by surprise.
In October, clacking up 12 inches of snow.
Great for ski season. So what's headed our way next?
Thanks for joining us. I'm David Molko.
And I'm Laurel Porter. We begin with the latest in the Middle East after an Israeli airstrike today hit a multi-floor residential building in Gaza. People ran to take shelter. Others worked to remove pieces of rubble by hand. Officials in Gaza, which is controlled by Hamas, now say at least 6,500 people have been killed. That's after Hamas militants stormed southern Israel on October 7th and killed more than 1,400 while taking more than 200 people hostage.
Tonight, Palestinian officials say aid is only trickling in, while the World Health Organization adds hospitals and clinics are on the edge of failing. And amidst that increasing violence, many are now calling here for a ceasefire.
And that includes Palestinians and Jews here in the Portland area. Our Alma McCarty's here now, and you sat down and spoke with two people who have deep ties to the region.
That's right, Laurel, David. Both Joel Bainan and Niall Sager tell me their families have suffered unthinkable recent tragedies in Israel and in Gaza. In light of that, they are pushing for an end to the killing and the violence.
I knew right away that after a very vicious and horrific attack like this, that Israel would respond massively.
Since October 7th, both Joel Bainan and Niall Sager say there's been a lot of pain, personal grief, and loss.
My brother's older daughter, Liat, and her husband, Aviv, lived on kibbutz near Oz, which was one of the Israeli kibbutzim that was most severely attacked by Hamas on October 7th. They were taken hostage.
And for Saker, a Palestinian American, retaliation from Israel hit home.
I lost 39 people of my immediate family. My cousin Laila, my cousin Rahab, and their families, their kids.
For the past few weeks, they've watched the horrors of war from afar, both with a deep understanding of the region's history. Saker was born and raised in Gaza City.
I witnessed the humiliation and the occupation with all the dirty aspect of it.
Bainan was a Middle Eastern history professor for 35 years.
So my heart was doubly heavy, both for my family members and because I had a huge sense of failure. Whatever we did wasn't enough to prevent this from happening.
With the violence weighing heavily on both.
When the options are all bad, the best thing to do is just stop shooting.
They're calling for a ceasefire.
And it was pretty easy for us to agree that the most important thing that has to happen is an immediate ceasefire, establish a humanitarian corridor to deliver aid, and release of the hostages.
But neither sees it as more than a hope without international pressure to do so.
I personally afraid of the whole area, the whole region will explode.
Despite these fears, they'll continue to hope, to pray for justice and for peace and for humanity.
I hope for a serious peace talk to place justice in the beginning and to place a hope for our young generation for the future.
Alma McCarty, KGW News.
Well, meanwhile, the U.S. could be a step closer to passing emergency funding for Israel, an estimated $14 billion in aid after House Republicans finally agreed on a new Speaker of the House.
In a unanimous vote today, the GOP chose Representative Mike Johnson of Louisiana to lead the House. It comes amid urgent calls to approve those billions in aid for Israel and Ukraine, and just weeks ahead of another potential government shutdown on November 17th. Democrats criticized Johnson, a Donald Trump ally, for leading the effort against certifying President Biden's election win and for his stances against LGBTQ and abortion rights. Oregon's 4 Democrats and 2 Republicans voted along party lines. Democratic Congresswoman Andrea Salinas said she has, quote, deep concerns about his ability to govern responsibly, but is hopeful Johnson will seek bipartisan solutions. On the Republican side, Congresswoman Lori Chavez-Dreamer, who last week opposed Jim Jordan for Speaker, due in part to his far-right position, said she voted for Johnson to bring an end to the saga. She said she's hopeful Johnson will work to advance common sense, pragmatic legislation and has made her district's priorities, quote, very clear to him.
Let's get to your headlines this evening, starting in Hillsborough, where police have arrested 2 teenagers for a deadly shooting at a house party over the weekend. Gunfire killed a 17-year-old and injured a 16-year-old Saturday night at a home on Northeast 34th Place. The district confirms both suspects are students, though police are not releasing their names because they are juveniles. It is unclear if the teens have been charged.
A Southeast Portland Burgerville restaurant is closed indefinitely after it was severely damaged by an overnight fire. Portland Fire responded to a dumpster on fire at the Powell and Southeast 92nd location about 5 this morning. The fire spread to the building and onto the roof before firefighters could put it out. No one was hurt. Burgerville said the restaurant will be closed until further notice.
And Oregon is reporting 3 cases connected to a nationwide salmonella outbreak linked to a brand of pre-cut onions. Gill's Onions has voluntarily recalled its diced onion products. Those include bagged diced yellow onions, some diced onion cup varieties with use for dates by August 2023. So far, 73 people in 22 states have been sickened. 15 people have been hospitalized. No deaths have been reported. If you have any of these products, including ones that may have been frozen, you are advised to throw them out immediately. Matt?
All right, David, thank you very much. It's been a stormy afternoon here in the Portland area. Still some thick clouds hanging out there as a band of showers is moving through, only 46 degrees. This storm has a history of producing lightning and downpours, and it's moving out through Mill Plain right now, headed out for Camas and Washougal, so be on the lookout for some heavy rain there and along I-84 on the Oregon side of the gorge. But when we zoom out, there aren't really that many showers left behind this band. Once that moves on through, it's really going to begin to clear out. We've already seen that process begin, but not in the Cascades. Look at Timberline, 16 inches of new snow there. However, at the coast, there's the clearing for you. And with that clearing sky, a whole new set of weather concerns set in the form of frost and hard freezes. There's a hard freeze warning up for the Columbia, or for the Hood River Valley. We've got freeze warnings out to the east, frost advisories on the west side, as everybody's going to be seeing temperatures drop below freezing, or at least close enough to freezing to have frosty mornings going ahead. Not tomorrow morning. We'll have fog in the morning tomorrow, and even Friday morning, probably no frost, but after that, frosty mornings and sunny days ahead, guys.
It's feeling chilly. Thank you, Matt. Let's get to new developments this evening after a shooting last week near Vancouver's Evergreen High, with some parents and neighbors now saying they are concerned about the way school officials communicated in real time.
Tim Gordon joins us now in Vancouver. And Tim, we should point out here first, no one was hurt. What's the district saying about all of this?
All right, well, the district is defending the way that it handled the communications, but since then criticism has been building from some, especially about the way the district communicated about it. Fallout after a shooting incident very near Evergreen High School and Cascade Middle School. It happened last Thursday and locked down the schools while Vancouver police converged on the area. It's important to note nobody was hit by the gunfire, and students were eventually released to their parents after being bused away to Evergreen District offices. But we've since learned it was a student with a gun who police say fired the weapon from the parking lot of McKenzie Stadium, which is district property adjacent to the campuses. The Evergreen student had been involved in another altercation on campus earlier that day. Since then, students have walked out of class and protested Evergreen to go along with criticism from some about the way the district communicated about the incident.
Do not split hairs with this community. My child is not okay. I am not okay. This community is not okay.
It boiled over at a school board meeting Wednesday night, with some parents complaining about a lack of information, suggesting district leaders were downplaying what happened.
While I understand the necessity of preventing panic, I grew increasingly concerned about the lack of transparency of the events and dangers that day communicated by district leadership.
And one Evergreen teacher, surrounded by those he described as colleagues, said things did not go perfectly.
A lockdown announcement was made using a panic button that staff and students were unfamiliar with. Previous run, hide, fight training was not followed. Staff received the same emails that were sent to parents as updates.
The district provided KGW with a list of communications from the individual schools and the district, a series of 9 messages they say gave more information as it became available, including the specific location where the shots were fired. At the board meeting, Superintendent John Boyd thanked critics for sharing their concerns and acknowledged the stress that started with the gunfire.
I do want to say I am sorry that this happened. I am sorry that you experienced that. I'm sorry for the trauma and the pain that has caused you and your families.
Boyd also thanked staff for keeping everyone safe. And at the same time, the superintendent said that as any type of situation like this, they'll certainly be looking at it all, analyzing it to see if there's any way that they could have improved. We'll send it back to you in the studio.
Tim Gordon live for us in Vancouver. Thank you, Tim. Coming up next here on KGW News, a potential teacher strike looming in Portland. So what are the options for parents if schools shut down?
And a big early season snowfall. We're going to trek up to Timberline to check it all out. And just like the snow, we hope you'll stick around for your 7-day coming up.